Mr. Investor, welcome back to the channel, baby. Today you're gonna love what I got for you. So first things first, we're gonna be talking about key sites and the global expansion of Sapphire and optical genome mapping. Then let's talk about growth in revenue and the potential of a short squeeze. Then let's talk about the upside potential for bionano genomics in terms of stock price. Please remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. And if you're able to support the channel in any way, I really appreciate any donations. I have a PayPal link in my description box below. You can also join channel memberships or the Patreon. I'm actually planning on hiring some people and expanding the channel, so you may see another few creators on this channel soon. But if you're unable to donate, just you hitting the like and clicking subscribe is enough for me. Thank you so much for being part of the family. You guys have supported me throughout and I really appreciate you guys, all the comments you've given me, all the positivity. Thank you so much. So first things first, in the middle of the day yesterday we had this rally and we went up from the bottom around about 10.6%. A lot of us are still down, a lot of us are actually averaging down and accumulating shares. Lots of you guys have said you're holding strong, and today I'm going to be talking about the expansion of Sapphire across the globe. But let's start by talking about the CEO of bionano genomics, Eric Holmlin, and this tweet. He was talking about the combination of next generation sequencing with optical genome mapping and how powerful it is for discovering clinically relevant variants with known significance. And so this acquisition of biodiscovery has given us the ability to combine and make sense of next generation sequencing data and optical genome mapping data. And as part of this tweet, he shared a table showing the limitations of sequencing technologies in structural variant profiling. Now, with Joseph Butler, the UK sales manager of bionano genomics, when we acquired biodiscovery, he said that bionano went from a hot new TV show to actually becoming Netflix itself, saying that they will not only be able to make incredible data, but they can host other platforms' data and integrate it with their own, making it easier and faster to get actionable data. I also forgot to mention that a couple weeks ago, I was looking at this data subscription model that bionano genomics could potentially get. In the same way we subscribe to Netflix, there are actually companies out there that allow access to their databases for a subscription price. Now, right now it seems that we're just building out, so we want to actually combine and get people utilizing, the Sapphire. We really want to build out a big installation base, get people utilizing it, and get reoccurring revenue from the consumables. But man, when I was on this night shift, I was grinding. My patient was good, we were relaxing, and on my break I looked into the UK Biobank. This is a large long-term biobank study in the United Kingdom which is investigating the respective contributions of genetic predisposition and environmental exposure to the development of disease. It's been around since 2006 and it's basically like a really large database. It's a large-scale biomedical database. And so the participants are about 500,000 people. There's 500,000 UK participants. It's a large-scale biomedical database and research resource. It contains a lot of genetic and health information. And like bionano genomics was talking about integrating data from next-generation sequencing with optical genome mapping, these guys regularly add additional data and make it globally accessible to researchers. Now, are they charging for this? Yes, they are charging, and they have this tiered system. So for a tier 3 all access, it allows you core data, so questionnaires, physical measurements, health data, web-based questionnaire. It also includes assay data and enhanced measures, and you can get access to very large data sets. So they're doing it as a deal for 3-year access. If you just want tier 1 stuff, it's $3,000, $6,000 for tier 2 stuff, and for tier 3 all access it's going to be $9,000 plus $3,000. So imagine every single researcher that wants to utilize the data from this platform is going to be paying $12,000 over 3 years. And back in April 2021, the UK Biobank approved its 20,000th researcher. And it continues to scale up. There's only 20,000 researchers using it, but can you imagine if they're paying basically $4,000? This is the highest outcome, by the way. There may be student researchers who are paying a lot less. If all 20,000 participants are paying $4,000 per year, that's $80 million in revenue per year just from access. So right now we're just building up, and in terms of biodiscovery, they've got 3,000 customers, and with these 3,000 customers we could potentially introduce Sapphire to all of them. But these current customers that biodiscovery is talking about are currently paying for some of the clinical products that biodiscovery has, like this NX clinical software, which is the most comprehensive solution for analysis and interpretation of any microarray or next generation sequencing data. Next, let's talk about the global expansion and use of Sapphire. So we're going to be talking about China now. There's a company called Wickham's Bio. This is a biomedical technology company. Thank you to Scoop for sending me this article, by the way. So this company appeared at the first pediatric rheumatology conference in Sichuan Medical Association. And at this conference, there were scholars from all over the world and industry experts. It was held at this fancy hotel, Chengdu Jinhe Hotel, on December 10th and 11th. So at this conference, there were all these experts and people who were active in the field, both online and offline, who were attending. From From Wickham's Bio, a Dr. Yang Ji from the company was sharing the mixture of next-generation sequencing and optical genome mapping for genetic disease mutation detection, and said it was an efficient solution. And the people that were attending here, he shared his opinion and he shared his research with all the expert scholars who are exploring new medical devices and technologies. Now, after introducing next-generation sequencing and the type of products he uses, he introduced whole genome optical mapping technology and the optical genome mapping workflow. He spoke about the limitations and the advantages of both, but then he spoke about them being used together. So there's a study that he was conducting, and he was proposing that 50 cases of the study, 42 of those cases were previously analyzed by chromosome microarrays, 23 cases were previously analyzed only by whole exome sequencing, and none of these methods were able to give a clear molecular diagnosis for the patient. But out of the 50 cases, if you use optical genome mapping with whole genome sequencing, 20 of these cases were confirmed. The number of confirmed cases of structural variants found through bionano itself was 8 cases. But if you use optical genome mapping combined with whole external or whole genome sequencing, it can increase the diagnosis rate by 16% to 40%. So what's interesting is he's talking to all of these experts in the field who look into these new biomedical devices, and he's stating that using optical genome mapping together with whole exome sequencing can not only improve clinical detection level, but it also has the potential to discover new structural variations and diseases. Therefore, it can be utilized in scientific research ideas. So these guys, a customer of bionano genomics, utilizing the Sapphire, using it at these kind of big conferences and showing what they found by combining technology. It seems to fit exactly into what Eric Homeland is saying in the bionano genomics team, that next generation sequencing utilized with optical genome mapping is very powerful. Now, back in November, when the paper was released and Joe Butler was reviewing it and rereading it, he was looking at this paper, which is part of the 100,000 genomes pilot on rare disease diagnosis. This is a pilot study that is conducted in the UK, and they basically use whole genome sequencing in order to get some of these families who are suffering from rare disease a diagnosis. However, Joe Butler was saying, is it totally effective? It could have been even better. He was saying that 80% of 2,183 families should theoretically be able to get a genetic diagnosis. This is 1,746 cases. Whole genome sequencing made a diagnosis in only 25% of these cases, 437 cases. But that leaves 1,309 families without a diagnosis. Maybe it's time to look at what Sapphire can do. So imagine all the funding, so much funding and money is going into whole genome sequencing, and it's effective, it's getting diagnosis 25% of cases. This is otherwise 25% of these cases, it's families who would never get a diagnosis with traditional methods. But he's saying if you utilize the Sapphire, what else can we add? Now let's go back into global expansion and let's look at some articles released from this year. Come on! This is a statement from Eric Homeland. We believe our progress in Europe with the increased awareness of optical genome mapping and the development of the market there has been outstanding. So he was saying that by targeting these key sites like Radboud, Leuven and Cochin, the optical genome mapping footprint has now expanded to Germany, Spain and Italy. With the growing installed base of Sapphire in Europe, we have seen these institutions and their research teams conduct groundbreaking research to help demonstrate the potential utility of optical genome mapping as an alternative to traditional cytogenetic methods. And do you remember over in Africa, we're also expanding? Back in April, we saw this article come out talking about the expansion and adoption of the Sapphire system in South Africa. The person who adopted it said that they've been watching bionano genomics progress for years, and they finally decided to purchase and adopt the Sapphire system. This is the head of genetics at Indelo Bio, Joanne Kotze. She's also a national board examiner for cytogenetics over in Africa, and she wanted to formally register her Sapphire-based laboratory as a training lab for the field of cytogenomics, and her plan is to write optical genome mapping into the South African cytogenetic guidelines. And what's written into the guidelines means that it's high-level standards and it will provide good outcomes for patients. So usually they follow the guidelines in order to practice safely and get the best outcomes for patients. And Joanne Kotze has said where traditional cytogenetic methods like chromosomal microarray has failed to replace standard cytogenetic testing of cancer samples, I believe optical genome mapping has the potential to revolutionize cytogenetic analysis in Africa and the rest of the world.
Ooh, now let's talk about that shawty squeeze. Squeeze your shawty.
They've been driving the price down not only on the open market but also in the dark pool. There's a dark pool short volume ratio 826,633 shares. I think it could be possibly a lot more. I don't know how accurate Fintel is, but they said the dark pool short volume ratio is 31.48%. Short interest is currently 40 million shares according to Nasdaq. And in terms of identifying companies that are the top companies with a short squeeze, bionano genomics is ranking 394th out of 5,000 companies. So within the top 400, I wonder if any good press release could send the stock flying. Sales, revenue, partnership, collaborations. If it's news about increased revenue and sales, it's going to get a lot of people excited and diving back into the stock or increasing their current positions. In terms of growth, I think we're on target to hit 150. We might even beat the estimates in terms of revenue. But if you look at the years to come, you know, they're saying $17 million is probably what we've generated this year in revenue. They're estimating almost 30 million the next year. And by 2023, we're up to $56 million in revenue. But they believe that the big gains are going to come years from now. By 2025, they're looking at $181 million in annual revenue. But all this growth is all good. But can we survive? Can we make it until then? They're stating in terms of short-term obligations, no problem paying any expenses. We're sitting on a big war chest with hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. We have no debts. And according to chart mills, the company is in a good financial standing. It has good financial health. So now if we do hit this hyper growth stage, hyper adoption, and see this massive boost in revenue, also with what Eric Comlin is talking about with the utility of optical genome mapping with the Sapphire, is what him and all of these employees that have joined bionano genomics from Illumina, they believe it's going to accelerate adoption even faster than what we've seen in 2021. So he's saying, you know, it's going to snowball, it's going to scale, and the more groundbreaking research that comes out as well from these key sites is going to enable more sales of the Sapphire. Now, in terms of reoccurring revenue, when they sell each unit, each Sapphire, it translates to $150,000 in revenue for the unit. But this analyst, Kevin DeGita, is stating that he believes there's going to be about 20 test runs per unit per month. And right now, the consumables cost $500 per test. So he believes that each Sapphire sold, the yearly amount of consumables are going to generate them $110,000. So imagine if we get 6,000 to 10,000 Sapphires in the long term. What is this company going to look like? So this is why this analyst, Kevin DeGita, believes that bionano genomics within the next 12 months is going to hit $14 a share. And in terms of upside potential, on average, the analysts believe $10, $12, $14, right? They're all saying it's a strong buy, and an average upside potential, if it reaches $12 within 12 months, it's going to be 250% upside on the stock price. But a lot of us, when it got to $15, a lot of us were thinking about, you know, this blue ocean that bionano genomics is in, and we said, we're not going to sell at 15. Nobody sold at 15 here. We were just like, hold on. All of the longs were just like, we've done so much research into this, and we can see the potential of what this company could become. Why would I sell at $15 a share when I believe it could be worth $100 a share in the future? And some analysts have shown me as well, in terms of consumable, they will show me this kind of consumable model in which you can analyze what the stock price could become. Some of those analysts were basically stating, you know what, they work in private equity and this could be worth $400 plus per share in the future. But remember, this is not financial advice. I believe this company is worth a lot more than $12, and I won't be selling after 12 months. I'm going to watch this company for the next 5 to 8 years, and I'm actually buying on a weekly basis. I'm trying to accumulate as much shares as possible because I believe in the technology, the vision of the company, and the ability to scale and get adoption by targeting these key sites. If you guys have worked in sales before, it's really hard to convince someone to buy something unless they need it. If you show them, you know, there's utility, you need this service. But to sell a Sapphire to, say, perhaps King's College Hospital, you're selling to some of the best research hospitals in the world. And after they test piloted it, after they had a play around with the Sapphire system, they fully adopted it. And they're utilizing the machine to look at the genomes of patients who are suffering from blood cancers. So I'm here for the long run, and I kind of hope that bionano genomics trades sideways in this range so I can accumulate as much as I can for as cheap as I can. If this company continues to drop, I'll continue to gobble up shares because I'm lowering down my average and I'm accumulating. I've got 1,600 shares at the moment, but I had some bills I had to pay off first. So as soon as I pay off the bills, I'm going to keep buying every single week, bit by bit, bionano genomics, nano dimension, and Palantir. So tell me your thoughts and feelings. Tell me about your analysis as well. Every single one of you guys, you must do your own due diligence before you invest in companies. So tell me what you believe bionano genomics is going to be worth in 12 months, in 5 years time, and 8 years down the line. I'm wishing you a very Merry Christmas in every video because we're in the month of December. Please always remember, none of this is financial advice, it's for entertainment only. And if you're able to help support the channel in any single way, I have a PayPal link in my description box below. Thank you so much for everybody that's donated to me, that's given me great comments, people that have helped me with my research as well by showing me links. I love and appreciate all of you guys, and I thank you so much. Please hit the thumbs up, click subscribe, and drop me some comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. Mr. Investor Lot, over now, baby.